Hey, Ethan here. This week our topic is our thoughts on being trans and API. Um, I guess as a kid, growing up, being Asian wasn't really too big of a problem. I grew up in Homedale, New Jersey, which is in central Jersey. Um, and there's a huge, um, Asian American population here. Um, especially in Homedale and its surrounding towns like Marlborough and Manalapan, Freehold, because AT&T. AT&T is a huge building located in Homedale. And then before AT&T, there was also Bell Labs, and then after AT&T, there was Lucent. So like, it's a huge like telecommunications like area, um, and um, a lot of Asian parents work there. A lot of them, at least in my immediate area, are mostly Chinese, um, and a good portion of them come from like Taiwan or Hong Kong. Um, and so because of such a huge population in the area, I grew up surrounded by people that looked like me, and I guess I might have complained a lot as a kid about going to Chinese school, but Chinese school and I guess for other people, church did provide a place for me to foster a coherent, Asian identity. So growing up, I was never really ashamed of being um, ethnically Chinese. Um, I mean, reconciling that Asianness with what it meant to be American, that was another deal, another problem, but that wouldn't happen until college. Um, so I guess it's kind of a sheltered life growing up. Like it had its own culture, like mostly Chinese school, very influenced by the parental generations of Taiwanese history. Um, the parents have an interesting narrative though. The parents in the area mostly immigrated here um, for college, so they came here having most of them having finished high school or school in general, having grown up in Taiwan to come to college in the United States, and then after getting their engineering degrees or whatever, because it was during telecommunications boom, they all were quickly given jobs um, by the companies in the area, which is why they all kind of moved here. Um, but because of that, in a weird way, a lot of the parents or the parent generation is one step removed from the overt traditionalism of their own parents. Um, like the survivalist mentality, in collectivism, was inherited by them, but it's kind of mutated into the notion of success, whatever that is. So whereas the parental generation was told to survive and help the family unit survive, um, our generation is told then to succeed, and the success, has been placed on the same pedestal as survival. And I think that might be the root of the tiger parent idea, um, because growing up like in the school system, it was pretty cutthroat. Like it could have been really cutthroat if I didn't participate in it so much, but I could see like the pressure of it to get good grades, to go into the Ivy League school, and then get like a successful job, make tons of money, and then um, and if at the same time marrying well, like that narrative, that was success. Basically, make tons of money, get married to I don't know a doctor or something. And because it was like the weight of it was equivalent to survival, like failure wasn't an option really, and failure brought lots of shame to the family. Well, I guess it was still felt as social death. I guess. I mean, I don't know if parents necessarily were conscious of that, but that attitude was inherited. Like it was in how they raised the kids. um, but yeah. So I mean, even though I was surrounded by that, crazy idea of success, my parents were. a little lighter on it with me and my sister, for a number of reasons, I guess, but I'm not too sure what exactly is the cause. I think one might be that my dad actually came here a lot younger. He came here when he was about 13. And then my mom came here before college also, or before college age, because she never made it really to college. Um, and they met in high school, so I don't know if it's like because they were exposed to American culture earlier, or if it was because that um, my mother's side of the family has gone through a slightly different immigrant narrative. It's much more, I guess, blue collar, or maybe it's because my dad's dad, my grandfather was a professor and like is that kind of academic idealist kind of person, and that influenced his upbringing also. Um, So growing up, I didn't really have to deal so much with the tiger parenting. But that doesn't mean that I didn't inherit any of those like attitudes. Like what are my notes? Uh, growing up, I guess I also did inherit Asian shame or whatever. I mean, I don't know what else to call it, but like this idea where um you have to be very careful about your thoughts, emotions, and actions because you're always afraid that you would bring shame either to the family or yourself or whatever. Duty was a big thing. Growing up, I watched my dad take care of not just the family, but like my grandmother, how he would take care of like others, and so duty was a big deal for me growing up. And I guess tying those two concepts together was also this idea of stoicism, like you kept things on the inside. Because if you were to take on that caretaking role, you needed to be together, and you couldn't show, I guess, weakness in any form. So stoicism became a huge part of it also. And that was kind of the environment I grew up in. I mean, I didn't have to. I needed to. I was told to succeed, but I wasn't like tied down to like the tiger parenting level of success. I was just told to do the best I could, um, and to I guess just fulfill all my obligations to like school, work, family, um, yeah, duty, responsibility is a huge thing, and I still grapple with that. So transness in that kind of environment is kind of interesting, because I was growing up in an environment with such attitudes about shame and stoicism and duty. Um, I never really talked about it. I mean, I wasn't sure how to express the topic because I knew they didn't necessarily have the language for it either, like the parent generation. I mean, they knew what was I guess gay or lesbian, and that's already one step ahead of I guess a lot of Asian parents. I don't know. But trans is what's like I remember one of the first things my dad telling me when I told him about this idea of trans that I was trans was that aren't they all prostitutes or something? Are you gonna end up on the streets? Like will people accept you for this? Why can't you just be gay? Because then you can hide it. Whole shame idea. Where you hide weakness, right? Um, so having I guess kind of sent those ideas, like sent those questions, and I guess tried to start a little bit of the conversations. Like I wasn't too comfortable actually participating in them, but I needed to get some feedback, so I would ask questions here and there. I eventually kind of just started medically transitioning on my own. Um, like I mentioned the idea to them, and then just kind of did it, like because I knew if we talked more about it at that point when I wasn't comfortable with it, yeah, either it would just make them more afraid because my uncertainty would feed their uncertainty, and then we would just all freak out and then nothing would get done. So I went. I mean, I guess this is also part of the stoicism, right? I kind of just took everything by myself, like, held everything on the inside, said I need to go do this by myself, went and did it, and then hoped that like, as I, discovered myself, that they wouldn't be too far behind. It would be kind of dragged along. And that has worked. And I guess in hindsight, I can't really say, um, like, things could have been a lot worse, right? I could have been completely disowned, like, whatever, cut off, like, they wouldn't want to talk to me. But as I've kind of discovered myself, I've watched them slowly make their steps towards acceptance as well. But by doing that in hindsight, it also has I realized that it also has created a weird kind of relationship with the idea of trans. Like, um, they won't ask about it either, like the topic, unless overtly confronted by it. Like, they meet another parent's kid, that's gay, or another parent with a gay or trans child or whatever, need someone to talk to, and then they kind of empathize and sympathize, and so then they kind of broach the topic. Also because of this, like, their relationship with me has kind of changed, I guess. Like, in many ways, I'm still seen as a child, but I'm also seen as, because I'm now male, I'm supposed to take on this male role of the son. So all of these responsibilities related to family have now been kind of placed onto me, um, without, like, me asking, I guess. Um, but while I get all of these responsibilities, I'm also not really treated as a complete human being, I guess. Like, all the things that my grandmother would ask about, like, my cousins, I guess, like school work, their social lives, like, do you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, or, like, what trophies or whatever or achievements you've gotten, like, recently. Um, I don't get any of those questions. In a weird way, well, I guess it's not too weird. I feel like they just don't know how to broach that aspect of me. They don't understand that I can have a social life, or if they, or how that would work even. Uh, so that's never asked, and I guess I get a little jealous of that. But I also know, like, even if I tried explaining, they may not understand, or at least my grandmother wouldn't understand. So it's been interesting growing up Asian and trans. um, I mean, I guess those are really the immediate thoughts that come to my head. If you have any questions, I guess ask in the comments. Being Asian and trans is a huge intersection because these are two, I guess, of my three major identities. The last one would be being a psych major and wanting to be a psychologist. So my thoughts are, like, everywhere right now. Like, the notes really aren't helping. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, comment, question, or ask away. And yeah, I'll even stick my email in the description if you want to email, because I feel this is a big topic, and I wouldn't be able to. Yeah, this video is like 14 minutes right now, and I don't feel like I'm really doing the topic any justice. So yeah, until next time, later.